Evening, everybody. Good evening. You've heard the chimes. The chimes are to please find a spot to sit. Terrific. Thank you all. Oh, we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here with us tonight. This is a wonderful evening to celebrate the history of our athletic program and some people that have made special contributions and really were impactful in developing the program that we celebrate and that we enjoy today. I'm Mike Sutton, class of '76. I was a student athlete here, swimming and water polo in the day. I fell into coaching and loved it, got the opportunity to coach at my alma mater. And then ultimately I became the director of athletics, enjoyed that run, and moved over into advancement for athletics. And now we are in transition again. And so I'm stepping back in this year as the interim director of athletics. So it's fun. I'm back with my people. Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and it's been just a pleasure to be close with everyone in the athletic department again in a different way. We're doing some good work in advancement for athletics, and I'm looking forward to where we go in the next few years. But to be back with the department and working in Roberts Pavilion, remarkable. And I think those of you that have had a chance to wander through it, for those of you that have been here before and the rest of that place is really special. And the word we often use with it may not be appropriate, may not be good enough, but it is so legit. And I think that's the attitude and the atmosphere that we have as a result of that today. So I've stood up here before on this moment and welcomed everybody as the director of athletics and celebrated the day. We had an outstanding start to the day. Our two cross-country teams had beautiful performances up in Walla Walla, and the women won the West Regional. The men were co-champions, and they were co-champions with Pomona-Pitzer, so those folks across the street are still there. But the fact of the matter is, they took us down pretty well in the conference meet, and we tied them today. So we're going into the national championship next weekend up in Oshkosh, Wisconsin with some momentum. We compete, and we win a lot, and sometimes we don't. And today was one of those days where we also took our lumps. The volleyball team, our defending national champions, were defeated by University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire back at Gustavus Adolphus College today. So their season ends, and it always is so abrupt in those winner go-home games. And so unfortunately, they're on their way back there. But our Athenas, we graduated 8 seniors off that national championship team. And with the integration of the new people and some difficult injuries that we had over the year, they had a remarkable season. I'm really, really proud of them. Just disappointed they didn't get back to the show, which is what we're all looking for. And then some of you are around this afternoon. We played Pomona-Pitzer in football. It's the traditional rivalry game at the end of the season. And son of a gun, if they didn't get us again. And it wasn't our best day on the field. The fact of the matter is, though, we are co-champions. We are co-champions with the University of Redlands and we are champions of the SCIAC for the first time since 1987. We have some people in the room that actually played on that team, and we have a few folks that were here on the earlier championship team. So it took us 31 years to get back to the top of the conference, but so proud of the guys and our program here as we go through. So they're warming up over at Axelrod Pool. We play Pomona-Pitzer and water polo. There seems to be a theme here. Hopefully the boys will have a good game tonight, and we'll see what happens with that. So next weekend, cross-country team will run in Oshkosh. Next weekend, we will find out tomorrow where we are traveling to in football for our first round playoff, first ever NCAA Division III playoff game for Stag football. So anyway, that's the day. When I'm standing here, I'm realizing this is the 60th year of athletics for Claremont-Mudd and Claremont-Mudd-Scripps. When you think about it, the folks that came to school here in the late 40s and early 50s played on the Pomona Claremont teams. So that was started in 1948. In 58, we started Claremont-Harvey-Mudd. And then in 76, we became actually we started out Scripps Claremont-Harvey-Mudd, and we became Claremont-Mudd-Scripps, the program we are today. So we're actually in our 60th year of athletics as we know it, with the Stags and the Athenas and the Cardinal and Gold as we go through here. And we are celebrating the lineage and the history of that program. As you look through the program at your table tonight, you can see the folks that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame over the years. We began this Hall of Fame in 1991 while Bill Arce was here and leading the charge on that. We've inducted 129 of our student athletes from the history of our program. We have a good number of those folks here tonight, but we have 4 very special people who we are going to celebrate tonight. And I would please ask that Heather, Kurt, Sarah, and Bob, would you please stand up for just a second here right now so we can see who you are. And in Kurt Hocker, we lost Kurt, just over a year ago now. He lost his battle with cancer, so we have his family here celebrating, and some of his very close teammates here to celebrate with us tonight. Very happy to celebrate your careers and your histories in Claremont-Mudd-Scripps athletics as we go. We also have many other members, people who have already been inducted into the Hall of Fame. Can I ask each of you, those of you who are Hall of Famers already, would you please stand up? Would you please join us? Stand up here for a second. So glad to have you back with us. Very happy to have you back with us tonight and celebrate with our new inductees as we go. To get to this point, we have a committee who, all of our coaches over the years have nominated people, the outstanding members of their programs, and we have a group that vets that group and tries to figure out when's, the when and the if, or not that, and it's almost never if, it's always when. When are we're going to do this? We have our Hall of Fame committee here. They are mentioned in the back of the program here, but I'd like to thank them right now and ask them, just take a quick bow, quick stand up and bow. All the members of our Hall of Fame committee, would you please stand up for just a second? Thank you for your support and the good work that we've done as we develop our Hall of Fame as we go through here. There's another group of recent alums that we recognize every year here, and we don't have any current students with us tonight. Or if we do, I'm sorry, I've missed them. Do we have current students? I'm sorry. Can I welcome our current student athletes? Okay, come on, folks. We're glad you're here. Coach Stewart, thank you for bringing the folks out tonight. Glad to have you guys here with us here. We also, at the end of each academic year, with each graduating class, we recognize the seniors who graduate with better than a 3.0, with a 3.0 or better, and first team all SCIAC or better honors. We have steadily, that number has gone up every year. Randy Town will tell you, because we're making more and more plaques every year to send out to our alums here. Last year, we recognized, where's my man Brian? He's going to put the list up here for us. There he is. Oh, good. So recognize, there's our recent alumni who have earned this honor here. First team all conference and high academic performance as they were here. We had 37 last year of our 100 seniors that earned that. In addition to that group, on that list are also many students. I started a deal a couple of years ago called when I realized that our students were really killing it academically here, and we had a lot of students who were achieving well better than that. It created an athletic director's honor roll. Last year we honored 100 student athletes of our 500 here who earned an 11.0, which is a 3.7 GPA or better in our program here, from the 3 colleges as we've done that. And on this list here, there are 5 members of that group as well. So really great job, not only athletically, but academically, really taking advantage of this place and of their academic experiences as we go here. So here we are in the 28th Hall of Fame event. We did 2 one year, so if you're doing the math, you can see how we got that there. We are celebrating this group of 4 inductees here. We will look forward to the future generations of this. We want to celebrate the history of this program here, and I'm so proud of what we have been doing over the last last 42 years of Claremont-Mudd-Scripps athletics here as we go, and the last 60 years of Claremont-Mudd athletics. Very proud of that, proud to be part of it, proud to have had the opportunity to compete as a student athlete and then to serve the program as a coach and the athletic director. And one of the people that I've had the pleasure of knowing over the years and have also grown up under is our current president of Claremont-McKenna College, and Hiram Chodosh is here. He's in his 6th year now as the president of CMC, and Hiram is here to celebrate with us for a minute. And Hiram, I think that you have a few words that you would share with the group here as we go. So please welcome Hiram Chodosh, please, CMC president.
When I agreed to come and welcome you, I didn't understand that I was going to be standing between you and dinner, and that was a big, big mistake. And I really am here to thank each and every one of you. I also want to acknowledge our great coaching staff and all of the staff of CMS Athletics. I'd like them to stand for a moment as we also honor and thank Mike for stepping up this year in what is his, I often tell him it's like Muhammad Ali being asked to fight a great bout. So let's have our coaches stand as well and be honored tonight. When I say I want to thank you, I know it's conventional for presidents to get up and thank everybody, but tonight I want to explain why I want to thank you. Several years ago when I started, we were just breaking ground on the Roberts Pavilion, and I went to see George Roberts, and I said, finally we will have a facility that matches the prowess of our program. But with this facility, CMS should be the go-to program for the scholar leader athlete. There should be nowhere in the country that can possibly compete, not just with the weather, but with the incredible balance and complementarity between all aspects of our program, the ability to compete at an incredibly high level, but also to really learn deeply and broadly and to participate fully in our co-curricular and extracurricular leadership and personal growth experiences. There's no place like it on earth. You can't get it at the Ivy League where they tell you you can't take classes after 1 p.m. You certainly can't get it in D1 athletics, and you can't get it at many other D3 programs that just do not have the sort of resources and competitive edge. And then I said something else. I said, George, every student we recruit to CMS should be coming here to win a national championship. And not because it's the championship, but it's because if we don't run the race to win it, it's hardly worth running. It's the learning that comes out of that ambition of competition. And George said, Hiram, that's exactly right. You keep saying that, and you'll find that people will start repeating it back to you. And he was right. I was talking in the pavilion just a few years ago to some parents who said, our younger son, who is a preferred recruit at Stanford, is coming to CMS, to CMC, to win a national championship. And then guess what happened? It wasn't only talking the talk, people started to walk it. And I count 5 national championships. Last year, 3 alone, and 4 individual championships last year. And guess what? All Athenas. Every single one of them. And that's not because of anything that I have done. That's not anything that's happened in the last 2 years that has created that. That is generations of leadership, of effort, of support, of roads not yet paved that have been run like mad to create that legacy, if you will, that our current students, our current scholar leader athletes are benefiting from today. And as we conduct what Paul started a couple years ago, our ring ceremonies at the house for the national championship teams, a lot of the discussion is not just about the championship run, It's about what our students are learning from the experience and how that set of lessons translates into the other aspects of their lives. The perseverance, the resilience, the bouncing back, the having fun while under stress. Just watch the videos of our volleyball team or our golf team and see how they are dancing their way to the biggest match or competition of their lives. And it is for that I am incredibly, deeply, forever grateful to each and every one of you, because you've all created a tremendous legacy and a foundation upon which our scholar leader athletes are achieving great things and learning even more important lessons that will last them for a lifetime. And like you, they will be sitting here and passing that legacy along. So thank you for all you've done, and in advance for your support for this just outstanding program. Thanks, Mike. Can everyone get dinner? Are we ready to eat?
We're going to release people.
All right, you are released.
But we'd like to invite, excuse me just one second. Let's invite the tables of our inductees, please, to go first, and then it's a free-for-all after that, okay? There we go.
Enjoy, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Hiram. Thank you. Enjoy the dinner. We'll be back later for our celebrations. So it looks like everybody's gotten into dinner, gotten through their dinner, having dessert. So I think it's time that we'll start the rest of our celebration. What I'd like to do first, though, is we've got a pretty good crew that are working out here for us on a Saturday night. Can we just have a nice round of applause and thanks for the Athenaeum staff tonight? I want to thank these students for giving us a good portion of their Saturday night. They're going to sit out a coffee station on the back table, so if things get a little slow and you need to get a little perk up there. But anyway, there'll be coffee out in back in just a second as we go through here. So you got me. I'll be I'm the segue. They call us the master of ceremonies, right? This is Mike Ha's job. He really has polished this over the years, those of you that have been here before. Unfortunately, Mike is not with us tonight. He was back with the volleyball team back in St. Peter in Minnesota. So I'm going to I'll do my best here to I won't channel Mike. He's got a special way about him. But one of the fun things for me getting to do this and serving this way is I had the pleasure of knowing all of these people, or getting to meet them over the years here, and it's really nice for me to be able to share a little bit of that in our history as we go through here. We're doing something a little different with this year's Hall of Fame. We're giving this a try here, so we'll look forward to seeing how people like it here. The normal presentations will be, so as the athletic director, one of the best days that I have is making the Hall of Fame selection calls. So I call folks and I tell them, hey, it's something they think I'm asking them for money, but it's not. And so I'm not calling you for money right now. And I appreciate you taking my call. But I get to tell them, I said, hey, the Hall of Fame committee has met, and we have voted to induct you into the Hall of Fame this year, into the class of 2018. For the athletic director, and so I got to do this for many years, David Wells before me, and John Zinda and Bill R.C. before. It's a really special moment to talk with those alums who were really special parts of our program as we go through here. And then we talk about, so here's how we're going to do this. We have a presentation, somebody who's going to speak about you to enlighten folks on the stats. We put all the stats out there, and I hope you've all had a chance to look at the program, and you see why we have inducted, why these people were so impactful in our program. And then we bring up a presenter to flesh that out, to add life to those stats as we go there. So trying to do something. We're trying to move into the 90s. And catch up with some of those programs. But we decided we would try to do this in a video presentation this year a little bit. And so we're giving this a shot. I hope that you like it. I know that all of our presenters who came through here were giving it a little side eye at the start. But I think right now what we will be doing is you will see a video presentation. The person who is the presenter will then greet our inductee, present them their Hall of Fame plaque, and welcome them to then address the group and reflect on their experiences as we go through here. And then I'll just jump up in between to be the segue between those presentations. I hope you enjoy it. And I think what will happen is somewhere in the next couple of weeks, the video from tonight will be posted on the athletic department website, so you can have a chance to reflect and review that. And we also will have the outtake video, but it won't be public. Okay, we'll share those outtakes out as we go through here. So our first presenter tonight is a dear friend who I actually started with here back way long time ago. We have grown up in CMS athletics together, and that's Jody Burton. She was Heather Schroeder's coach, and her video is coming up here soon. Jody was the voice for women's athletics for so many, over 30 years of coaching women's basketball here. She has also coached volleyball, women's tennis, and then took on the golf program and helped us to develop the golf program. And so as she let go of basketball, she found golf is all right. As a matter of fact, when you get really good golfers, you can have fun. And last year, they won a national championship in women's golf. So please welcome Jody Burton, Hall of Famer, women's basketball coach up here. And we'll see her video as we go. And then she will greet Heather.
It's an honor for me to be here to share stories and information about Heather Schroeder. Upon her exit from the school or graduation, she was by far the best basketball athlete we've ever had in our 18-year program, best athlete that track's ever had in their 18-year program, and best athlete that the campus had seen in the Athena history. Heather graduated from the best community college in the nation, and she was a starter in that program, Central Arizona College. Lynn Larson, who I had contacted for the previous 5 years and sent us an athlete, Diane Linflot, who's also in the Hall of Fame. When I called her, she had Heather's name ready for me because this kid was not only a starter and an absolute great athlete in her program, but she was also an excellent student. And Lynn loved CMC, Scripps, and Harvey Mudd, and the program. So she had that name ready for me, and Heather visited, and fortunately for track and basketball, Heather chose to come here and has been a fabulous athlete and person in both our programs. As a practice player, she was fabulous. She took everybody to a different level. Her intensity in practice was equal to her intensity in games, and everybody else followed in her lead. She was very competitive. She made them more competitive in practice, and showed up to the gym with a smile on her face, work ethic second to none. She was a fabulous teammate. She put the team before herself. Heather was voted captain both her years. She was also MVP both her years. She was a Hustle Award. She got the Coaches Award. Heather's intensity and her ability to take over a game, for instance, 1994 Redlands had won the championship the year before, and we were playing them at home in Ducey for the right to be the champion of the conference. And Heather just took over the game in the second half, had 5-6 steals in the game, with one of them coming in the third overtime to clinch an 89-85 victory. When Heather Schroeder came to visit, I could barely talk John Goldhammer into visiting with her. He thought, and fairly so, he thought she was going to play basketball. She'd never go out for track. She'd come out so late. She'd never be in shape. She couldn't help him. But he finally agreed and spent a little time with her on that visit. And she liked him, and so she did want to run. And she was a state champion in Arizona all 4 years in high school in the 800 and the 400 meter. With that, and I have to read these because I don't know them by heart. But this is what he wrote in her Hall of Fame nomination. Heather was the team in 1994. Her injury in the SCIAC prelims, I thought, dropped us out a legitimate chance for a first place finish in the championship meet. and possibly dropped us as low as 5th. But a fairly healthy Heather scored 40 points in that SCIAC championship, and we won by 23 points. CMS first women's track and field championship ever. Heather took up the heptathlon for one semester from mid-March to May the following season, 1995, and placed 9th at the NCAA championship. Truly a great feat. And she was only 2 points out of 8th, which would given her All-American status. She also broke our school heptathlon record by 800 points. Upon graduation, she was in the top 10 all-time CMS list in these events: 220 meters, 400 meters, 800 meters, 100 hurdles, high jump, long jump, shot put, javelin throw, and of course, we all know she was number 1 in the heptathlon. That's in school history. And she's an extremely gifted all-around athlete. Congratulations, Heather, on your induction into the Hall of Fame. Truly deserved. You made our lives richer and our teams a whole lot better. Please help greet Heather Schroeder and congratulate her on her Hall of Fame induction into both basketball and track and field. We're crying. You're fine.
Oh, wow. What's funny is I don't remember all of that. I really don't. Okay, let me take a deep breath. All right. I would like everyone to visualize a boardroom with a large board table. And sitting at each of the chairs at this board table are your biggest supporters and the people who have made the greatest impact on your life. You probably see family, teachers, coaches, and friends. I was presented with the same task this past August, and I visualized so many people who have made a difference in my life. When I received a call from Mike Sutton about the Hall of Fame Award, I was nervous about what to talk about in my speech. I'm honestly not comfortable with this. Even though I talk in front of kids every day, I'm a teacher. This is different. Then I realized so many of my board members would be here tonight, all in one room. I'm here because of other people and their encouragement and support. So tonight, I will be introducing many of my board members to you. I would like each of you to stand briefly as I talk about you. I would like to start by thanking my family, first and foremost, my mom. She has encouraged me and supported me in so many ways throughout my life, especially when it came to sports. She sacrificed her time and money taking me to dance and gymnastics, sports camps, practices, games, and track meets. She was not given the same opportunities, and I find it interesting and am very grateful that Title IX was passed just a month before I was born. My mom remarried prior to my 8th grade year, and we moved to Arizona. My new stepdad, Dan, just happened to be a PE teacher and coach. He taught me how to lift weights, trained me for all 4 years of high school, and was also my track coach for 3 years. Thank you both for believing in me, raising me to be a strong, independent woman, and not allowing me to quit or give up. Laziness was never an option. We laugh about it now, but my freshman year of high school, I decided I didn't really want to go out for track. My mom told me I had 2 choices. I could go out for track, or I could be grounded for 3 months. So I chose to go out for track because I figured it was my best chance to see my friends. So thank you for seeing what I could not see for myself, potential. I started my college career at Central Arizona College, as Coach mentioned, and played for Lynn Larson, the most winningest women's junior college coach. She took a chance on me. She told me I was not ready to play for her, but that I was coachable and she could work with me. I played with some awesome women who went on to play Division I programs, and some eventually played overseas or in the WNBA. One of my teammates from that school was supposed to be here tonight, but she did not come. I have not seen her in 26 years, but she made me a better player, made me laugh. She was there for me, and she brought me a lot of Big Mac meals. We had a pact that if either one of us made a trip to McDonald's, that we would get the other person a number one with an orange soda. And if you know me, I like to eat. Coach Larson happened to know Coach Jody Burton, and some calls were made. I visited Claremont, like she said. I didn't know all this about what Coach Goldhammer thought. And everything was great until she told me that she arranged for me to have lunch with Coach Goldhammer, the track coach. At that time, I had absolutely no intention of running track. And I let Coach Goldhammer know this. So our lunch was awkward at best, and we literally sat there saying nothing, waiting for our food to arrive. I couldn't wait to get out of there. It's true. Coach Larson told me if I could get into Claremont, to jump on the opportunity. At the time, I didn't truly understand that statement. Due to some health issues and finances, my admission was deferred, and Jody was really patient with that. So I made plans to arrive a year later. My lifelong friend, Missy, stand up, brought me to Claremont and moved me into the dorms. We have been friends since we were kids, attended the same elementary school, celebrated birthdays together, played middle school sports together, took the same dance classes, and both of our families happened to move to Arizona the same year. Most of my breaks were spent with Missy in Arizona, and she became my trainer of sorts. Missy probably knows me better than anyone. I would like to thank all my teammates, friends, and the athletic department here at Claremont, my teammates and friends for pushing me, challenging me, teaching me, and supporting me. Coach Burton and Coach Sutton, which are sitting together, for entrusting me with the care of your children. I babysat for both of them. At the time, I believe there were 6 of us in college. That money went to pay for phone bills and laundry. So thank you, Brian Smith. Yeah. For barely working me in the equipment office, watching Ricky Lake with me, and then working me really hard when I was having a difficult day, which I deserved. I won't get into the details of that. Also to you and your wife, Kelly, for inviting me over to your house for Thanksgiving dinner when I couldn't afford to go anywhere over the break. Thank you to Steve Graves. I saw him earlier. I haven't had a chance to talk to him yet. Where is he? Oh, there he is. You got to stand up. For taking care of my many injuries. I spent a considerable amount of time in your training room as 2 sports took a toll on my body. Thank you, Mike Haas, which he's not here tonight, for the team and sacrifices you have made to support the teams here at Claremont. I graduated 23 years ago, and these people are all still here at Claremont. It says something about their character and dedication to CMS athletics. So obviously, I decided to go out for track. Honestly, it was a night of our last basketball game where you took us out for ice cream, and I just had a spur-of-the-moment decision to go out for track. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with my extra time after basketball. That first season, I trained for the 800 and then decided then after that, I had my first attempt at high jump. Coach just asked me, can you just jump 4-4? That's all I need you to do. And I said, okay, because he needed the points. I jumped higher than that. So then he approached me and said, what other events have you done? And I'm like, well, he's like, have you thrown? Yeah. So he decided then that he would trade me for the heptathlon. I had never done the javelin. That's the one thing I had never done. We would work until it was almost dark at night. He would put a candy wrapper in the field and tell me if I could hit it, he would buy me a candy bar. I never hit it. He always knew how far to place it. So I want to thank him, even though he's not here, for the time he spent with me when he could have been home with his family. His wife is here, and she's smiling, yeah. Your sense of humor and running beside me when I was scared to run after pulling my hamstring. I was excited to hear that he was also going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and disappointed that he couldn't be here because of cross country, but it's certainly well deserved. Coach Jody, you gotta stand up again. I know you had to pull some strings to get me here. It didn't take me long to figure out my SAT score and my GPA were not the norm at Claremont-McKenna College. Thank you for taking a chance on me and believing in me. I remember very little about specific practices or games, other than the pull of the jersey collar signal did not work for me. Yeah. If you were tired and you wanted out, you pulled your jersey like this, and she would just turn her head and ignore me. Yep. Only 2 games come to mind. A game in Colorado with 4 overtimes, in which I sprained my ankle and fouled out again. And you making us lift weights afterward. And our final game of the season, my last game ever, in Minnesota. After I fouled out again, you hugged me and told me you loved me. We both cried, like we did tonight. I would like to read the letter that Coach Burton wrote me before that final game. It's on letterhead. Dear Heather, you bring an intensity, desire, and love for the game each and every day to practice. That reminds me each and every day why I chose to coach. Heather, every coach should be lucky to have just one Heather Schroeder pass through their program. You're a very considerate, honest, and genuine person. A part of me will always miss you every time I step on that hardwood floor without you. Good luck tonight. There's no player who can stop you. Love, Jody. What I do remember the most, Coach, is going into your office to chat. You always had a smile on your face and always had time for me. I struggled academically at times, and you encouraged me on and off the court. Last but not least, my boyfriend, Paul. Oh, yeah. Who has been my greatest supporter in the past year, a year in which I've been challenged with medical issues. I have thyroid cancer. Paul has never let me feel sorry for myself or let me ask myself why me or give up. He has taught me to make the most of every day and live life to its fullest. He's also given me that extra push to start my master's degree in educational leadership. So as a teacher, of course, I have to have a lesson here and a challenge to you. Whether it's a letter, a word of encouragement, time, teaching, coaching, or simply having a listening ear, I encourage everyone to give to others. And my question is, whose board table are you sitting at? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. And thank you for taking care of Tyler, too, back in the day. He's grown up to be a fine young man, and he was fortunate to be around people like you in his early years as we're going. All of us were. And if I'd been a women's coach, I would have had you out for the swim team too that last semester when you were here. So figure we'd have been better off then too. So here we go. So Heather mentioned something special here. Our next presenter, our next induction will be for Kurt Hocker, one of the boys, the people that I have known over many years in that heyday of the middle 80s of CMS athletics as we go through here. His introducer is Coach Goldhammer, and his presenter and partner. He will work with Mark Masana here tonight to recognize and celebrate Kurt's performances as we go. You heard Heather tease it up. We would have had a fifth presentation tonight if the cross-country regionals had been in their normal place instead of Walla Walla. We were hoping that we could get Coach Goldhammer, John Goldhammer, and his team back here to celebrate with us tonight. We tried really hard, and it didn't work out. John has been voted into the Hall of Fame, and we will then celebrate that in our next season here. But he's a Hall of Famer too. So here's a video presentation from Hall of Famer Coach Goldhammer.
First of all, I'm sorry I couldn't be here tonight. I'm currently up with the cross-country team up in Walla Walla, Washington. I should say beautiful Walla Walla, Washington. But I would like to congratulate both Sarah, Heather, and Bob Hayes for their induction, as well as Kurt and his family. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight, and hopefully each and every one of you will have a good evening. Athletically, one of my favorite memories was when Kurt ran the Fresno Relays in 1988. He ran against the silver medalist in the 400 meters in the Olympics that year, Edison Edbonicki, who was a student at APU, Azusa Pacific College. And Kurt was in lane 4, and Edbonicki was in lane 6. He ran out really, really fast. So this guy had run 44 seconds. Kurt at that time had run 48.8. That day, however, Kurt chased Edbonicki all the way around the track to set the first school record we had in the 4x4 at that point, breaking Bill LaRock's 25-year-old record, if I'm not mistaken, at that point, running 48.37. That was the first of his school records. Individually, Kurt was a good athlete, maybe not a great athlete, but personality-wise and team-wise, he was a fantastic and great athlete. His strength came in his ability to gather people around him and his enthusiasm and excitement and positive attitude toward everything he did. Not only here at Claremont, at Verbum Day High School, and on when he was coaching his kids. Kurt was all-in type of a guy. One of the more fun times that I remember was when Barbara Hocker made us bags for our spikes. Back in 1988, she made each one of the 4x4 relay runners a really nice spike bag, and they carry that around with pride. As a matter of fact, I know for a fact that Mark still has his in his garage. As I prepare to turn this over to Mark for the actual induction ceremony, I again would like to thank Felicia, Kennedy, and Blake for coming out here. Your dad was something really special. Your husband was something really special. I'd also like to thank Mark and Derek and Tony, who I know are in the crowd right now, for being such a special part of Kirk's life and my life as well. And again, I'm really very, very proud to have the opportunity to speak to you guys tonight. Hopefully you have a great remainder of the evening. Thank you very much.
Wow, this is going to be harder than I thought. Felicia, you want to come up? I want to thank the Hall of Fame committee for actually letting us do this a little differently tonight. Felicia and I are both coming up. It goes without saying, but I'll say it. This isn't easy for us. This is difficult. We all miss the heck out of Kurt, and especially tonight. Kurt loved the stage, and he literally would have been on stage tonight. He would have enjoyed this. Felicia, represents.
Thank you. I'm just gonna keep it short for me and then let Mark, take over. First, let me say thank you to CMS. I am so honored to be here on behalf of my husband, Kurt. And I know he would feel honored, grateful, proud, and most of all, humble. He always told me, Hockers keep it humble. I can also say that his father, Al, who is here, is immensely proud of his son and all that he achieved in his life, with one of the first steps starting right here, attending Claremont-McKenna. Now I would like to direct my comments to our children, Kennedy and Blake. I want you to take all this in and realize that if you work hard, as your father did, you can achieve anything in life. Your dad came from a humble home in South Los Angeles. Thankfully, he was blessed to be raised by two wonderful parents who made sure that their son, received the best education possible. It was not easy, but your father did it. He didn't let obstacles stand in his way. He didn't let distractions take him off his path. He never gave up. He was steadfast. And though his life was cut short, before the end, remember he told you, I expect you two to live extraordinary lives. So, as you, Kennedy, start your college journey, and Blake, your high school journey, and the many journeys after that, remember who you are. You are Kurt Hocker's children, and he set the bar mighty high, but one that both your father and I know you can attain and surpass. Love you so much.
Well said, Felicia. It's difficult to fill the shoes of Kurt Hocker. He was a big presence, so I'll do my best to share what I think he may have shared with us tonight. I think he would have started out by acknowledging some friends and family here. As Felicia pointed out, son Blake, daughter Kennedy, and of course, his father, Big Al. His father-in-law, Peter's here. His friend and neighbor, Ryan, out here tonight, drove Mr. Hocker out. His longtime pal from high school, Johnny Doyle, drove out. Johnny? Of course, he would have acknowledged myself, and he would have mentioned Derek Elmore, another 4x4 relay team member. Unfortunately, Tony Necco couldn't make it. He's in Northern California. Dan O'Keefe is here. He was with us those years. And he would have thanked Coach Goldhammer. Coach, among other things, recruited Kurt to come to college. And Coach did for Kurt what he's done for so many athletes, like he did for Heather. He personalized the coach-athlete experience in such a way that he compelled and motivated Kurt and many other athletes to put in the work and train hard to reach their full potential. And he did that for all of us. I think if Kurt were here, he might even apologize to Goldhammer tonight for not coming out for track the first 2 years of his college career. We still don't know why he waited, but he finally made it out his junior year. Of course, he would give special thanks to his parents. I remember that Al was at many meets, taking photos. I have many of those photos. And as Coach Goldhammer said, his mother, Barbara, made us these really cool spike bags. Yes, I still have mine, personally embroidered. So it was nice to have the Hockers around during our track days. So before I talk track, I just want to give you a little sense of Kurt's personality, because it helps to understand who Kurt was to help you know how he did what he did on the track. And despite what Goldhammer said, I think he was a great athlete. I first met Kurt 32 years ago, right here, on the sunny side of Wolford Hall, second floor. And I remember many mornings walking back from breakfast at Collins Hall, and there'd be Kurt standing on the balcony in his silk robe, pajamas, slippers, waving to the students as they were walking by in the morning. True story. And that was Kurt. And I'm thinking to myself, who is this guy? Well, besides being a very stylish, handsome, well-mannered gentleman, thanks to his father, Kurt was extremely confident, happy, positive person. He's always smiling, animated, outgoing, ambitious, and always working on a plan. Kurt planned his life and lived his plan with an all-in attitude. Just as Goldhammer said, he was all in, which is exactly how he approached his track career. He'd often say to me, "I'm all in, Masana. I'm all in, baby." And he'd go for it. No fear, no holding back. That's just the way he was. He was the charismatic, friendly, big personality of the team, but also incredibly talented runner. So naturally, everyone wanted to see Kurt do well. And indeed he did. But it almost didn't happen. Finally, though, in the spring of '87, his junior year, after some convincing from Goldhammer, Derek Elmore, who was also on the basketball team with Kurt, and his father, Kurt finally came out to run. Apparently, he'd given up on his short stint on the baseball team as a pinch runner, which is true, and as a member of the basketball team for 2 years, where he was known as the player who never saw a shot he didn't like. He wore jersey number 22 on the team. He was so confident, he had a personalized license plate on his 280Z that read, Dan, 2242. But once Kurt started track, he was all in on track. And in typical Hocker fashion, he bought all the gear: sweatsuits, running watches, running glasses, training shoes, spikes, every possible track accoutrement that you could find. He had it all. And he changed his license plate to two-lapper, as in the 800 two-lapper. Who does that? This guy's, he was so much fun to be around. He had to be there. But you're starting to get the sense of it, right? You know? So I think tonight Kurt would highlight what I think was his favorite event, the 1,600-meter relay. The 4x4. Everyone knows the 4x4. 4 guys, once around the track. I think he liked it, not just because we had a pretty good team. It was myself, Kurt, Tony, the Red Rocket, Neko, and Derek Elmore. He loved training together. He loved pushing each other, having fun, and we became good friends along the way. I think it was also because that 4x4 was the final and marquee event of the day, and Kurt loved the stage. So he loved, last race of the day was 4x4. Here we go, boys. So our first year, spring of '87, we had a little taste of success. We qualified for the NC2As, but failed to make it to the championship race. And I remember watching the final race in the stands with Kurt, and he turned to all of us, the 3 other relay team members, and he said, "Boys, we're going to make it back next year, and next year we're going to race for the championship." And he backed it up by saying, right then, "We start our training today. And we're going to practice every day for the next year until we get back here." So off we went that day to the North Central College gym to start lifting weights during the track meet. And true to his word, He went all in. He practiced and trained every day. He even went out for the cross-country team that fall, which is really unusual, right? Like, he was crazy. And sure enough, the following year, 1988, in the spring, we killed it. We won all of our races, even as Goldhammer said, the big Fresno relays. I have the Fresno relays winning watch here to prove it. Kurt was the heart of our team. He gathered us before every race in a little pre-race prayer ritual. I wasn't very spiritual, but I got into it, and it worked. We won every race that year. Kurt ran the third leg. He always ran the fastest split, and he had us in first place by the time he handed off to Neko in every race that year. And just as he had proclaimed a year earlier, we qualified for nationals. We won our qualifying heat, and we finished just 0.04 of a second short of the national championship. We finished second, but in the process, we set the school record, which, by the way, still stands 30 years this year. And there's a footnote to that story that Kurt liked to tell later. Because the kid from Lincoln University, Clive Terrelong, you remember the story, Mr. Hocker? Maybe not. Clive Terrelong, this guy he went on to become probably the best runner in NCAA history. He was a 3-time national champion in the 400, 2-time national champion in the 800, still holds the 800-meter NCAA record, and went on to run in 2 Olympics for the Jamaican national team. So it made Kurt feel a little better just being able to say that. He'd say, we finished second. Oh, by the way, the guy that beat us is this kid. So I want to close by sharing a little, I think I have it here, a little motivational note that Kurt left on my dorm room desk 30 years ago. This little card. He was a big fan of Coach Don Wooden. And on his front door to his dorm room, he had the Pyramid of Success on his door. And he put this note on my desk, and I'll read it to you. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you did your best to become the best you are capable of becoming. So while this Hall of Fame induction is truly a well-deserved honor that validates the career of a school record holder, a conference champion, and an All-American, Kurt always knew, by this definition, that he had a successful track career and was completely satisfied knowing he did his absolute best to become the best that he could. And that effort to do his best is how he approached everything in the life that came after, starting with his wonderful wife and family, a nice home he was proud of, a special relationship with his father, a long and successful finance career, his golf game, coaching and managing his youth basketball for Blake, and as a friend. Tonight, he would be very happy, grateful, proud, and humbled in this moment, and he would simply say, thank you to everyone here tonight. So thank you. This goes with you.
Thank you, Felicia and Mark, for sharing those moments with us. And congratulations to our first 2 inductees as we've gone through here. Personally, that group of students that were at the colleges in those middle, late 80s, really special bunch of people, big personalities, big characters, and I was blessed to have had some great teams as well, as I got to watch these guys, the boys, and all the rest of our folks who were helping develop this program as we go through. Another person who is a big personality in this program. We're continuing the track and field theme right now, but we have a gentleman named Aaron Rubin. Now, Aaron, it's interesting, and it will be good on this, Aaron. We'll tell you here. Aaron has been here before. He has celebrated with us before, and the rest of that. He's been part of this family here as we're going. Aaron did a wonderful job, and it just cracked me up that as soon as I spoke with Sarah, and I was able to speak with her and congratulate her on her selection into the Hall of Fame, induction into the Hall of Fame. And Mr. Hocker, thank you for being with us tonight. We're really glad you're here. So I talked to Sarah, and we're talking details about the Hall of Fame. And I said, so we need somebody to present you. She said, well, Biff, of course. So I said, okay, I know that guy. And so what I would like to do is show a little video that Biff put together, that Aaron Rubin put together now to welcome Sarah DeGraw into the Hall of Fame.
Hi, my name is Biff. Some others may know me as Aaron Rubin. I graduated in 2002 from Claremont-McKenna College. I was a hammer thrower with Sarah DeGraw, who I'm honored to be introducing you to today. Now, what you have to know about throwers is that we're like family that you can't really get rid of during your tenure at CMS. You all know that Sarah won Scripps Athlete of the Year several times. You also know that she was an All-American twice. Now, what you don't know is that when she was an All-American, I think it was her junior year, she was actually playing around by the pool right before nationals, and she was screwing around with some other people, and she ended up falling or ended up getting in the water somehow or hit the side of the pool, and she broke her finger on her throwing hand right before nationals. And so with a broken finger, she was actually still able to be an All-American, which is pretty neat. Other things about Sarah, when you get to know someone really well, you get to know kind of who they are. And Sarah, I can tell you, was the most honest and person you can rely upon to do the right thing every time, no matter what. And so I just wanted to share a couple stories about that. When it was my junior year, I had a bike at school, and I needed to put my bike in storage because I'm from Chicago and I couldn't readily take a bike back to Chicago. So Coach agreed to let me borrow his truck. One problem is his truck is manual transmission, and I had no idea how to drive manual at the time. So thankfully Sarah did, because she's just more resourceful than I am and just knows more stuff. And so I recruited her, and she agreed to drive the probably 3 miles round trip to drop off my bike, lock it, and bring the truck back. So we go and we drop off the bike, great, easy peasy, get back in the car, and we're driving back, and she pulls into a gas station. And I said, Sarah, why are we in a gas station? There's plenty of gas in the car. And she said, Biff, you can't just borrow someone's car and not fill up the tank with gas. I said, fill up the tank? We drove like 3 miles. Can't we just put a gallon of gas in and just call it a day? And she gave me the scowl. She gave me the Sarah scowl. And the Sarah scowl is a combination of disappointment, anger, and bewilderment. And I often got the bewilderment more. But this one, actually, I got the anger on. And she said, when you drive someone's car, you fill it up with gas. And I said, okay. And so that's what we did. Let me think of my favorite ones. Okay, so When she was, this is our senior year, and she went to go throw, and many of you may know of the Baja Men. They had a very famous song called "Who Let the Dogs Out," and right as she was getting up to throw for her first throw, I screamed out, "Who let DeGraw out?" And the entire track team that was with me said, "Who?" And when she turned around and looked at me, I got the scowl of a lifetime. It was epic. Our senior year, she tells me that she's going to join the Army, and I thought, well, that's cool. You know, you graduate college and you can go in as a second lieutenant, and you know you don't have to do the full-on basic thing. And I said to her as much, and she looked at me again. I got a scowl. And she said, "Oh no, I'm enlisting." And I looked at her with absolute bewilderment. It was my turn to have bewilderment on my face. Because, again, not a lot of people know this, but I was in Air Force ROTC for about 4 days. And that was a little too intense for me, ROTC, so I dropped it. But Sarah decided, oh no, she was going to be boot camp, do the full-on, all the training, start from the ground up, be a paramedic, all that. And I thought she was crazy, but it's just the Sarah DeGraw way. You do it the right way or you don't do it at all. So I learned a lot from Sarah my 4 years, and I was so fortunate to have her as a friend and even a mentor. And again, I'm not surprised by this award. She absolutely deserves it. And just did a phenomenal job as an athlete and as a human being on the track team as well. So, Sarah, congratulations. We're all proud of you. So I'm honored to be up here again, introducing someone. And as Sarah comes on up, I have one question. Who let DeGraw out?
I had notes in the hotel room. They're still in the hotel room. I would love to capitalize on the president's words earlier about the importance of athletics. Education's great. It's great. We all get our bachelor's and then we run off and do absolutely nothing to do with it for our lives. And we continue to have to go to school. We have to get a master's to do something relevant. But the time that you spend in athletics, it teaches you more about, I think, the dedication and the perseverance that you have to have for life, and it helps fix you on your path and how you're gonna execute and think and process and handle the tough situations, because there's nothing awesome about a huge field of people you're competing against, and that's a little bit more realistic than sitting down to your sats. Let's just be honest. All right. So. I remember the decision to join the military, and I remember writing Coach a postcard the day I left for basic and saying, "You got me here, Coach." Like, I have a huge military family, so obviously they're a little bit, they're at that board table. But I know that out of high school, I never would have enlisted. Absolutely not. Someone yelling at me? Pfft, no. That it would not go well. It would be about 4 days in ROTC, and I don't have to put up with this. But the coach takes that personal athlete to coach thing that he does, and he makes you hate everything that you don't do right, and want to just excel. I told stories to my husband about Coach, and he's like, "Man, he's got to be like the most positive, negative person I've ever heard about in my life." Like, I don't know how that worked, but it did somehow. I know that after college, I was then ready to go stand and get yelled at and go, got nothing on this. It was totally different though. It was totally different in my head because I actually could stand there and try not to laugh. And I think that relationship and that time in the team and everything through college was a great jumping board to go into this. And I am still active duty. I jumped under 5 years left to retirement. So I'm super excited about that. I've done some really cool things. I do medical operations now because I did commission finally. I got out of that whole ambulance driving thing, which I still love and I keep updated, right? Because you can't ever let a skill set fade. I can still drive a Standard 2. Even got my motorcycle, like little, it's on there. You never know, right? You never know. But I can definitely credit CMS. I honestly can't tell you how much I can credit to Scripps. I love the school, super pretty, great education, all of that. But CMS got me prepped for this life, right? This life that I have. And I just came off a great stint with the Department of State. I did Olympic planning, right? It's right up my lane. It was medical operations, emergency management, and I got to be surrounded by, a few athletes, kind of good ones, right? They went to the Olympics and got some medals. And now I oversee 20,000 people's medical needs, right? And you don't see that in the classroom, but you can see it in the way athletics builds teams. And we see that in the military where teams and cohesion and collaboration are so critical. And I wouldn't be who I am in the military and I wouldn't be who I am now without all of this. So it's awesome. It's awesome. And this will go great in my little cubicle because that's all I have right now. But I do have a white wall that doesn't have a training map on it yet. So I'll set this up here, and everyone can ooh and ah, and it'll be like a whole chapter of life that opened back up. But thank you, and that's it. I hate speeches.
Thanks, Sarah, for bringing that out again. One of the things I've spent time with over the years in working with faculty in such a high-intensity academic environment is, what's the point? What's the point of all this time and energy and effort and dollars that we spend on athletics? We're not a revenue-generating institution. We will fill our classes without athletic teams and the rest of that. But it's the conversations that Sarah is sharing with us and that many others have shared too, is that who we are and how we've developed as people and what we take with us outside of school is what's the point? That answers that question. And we do that and we balance it with our schoolwork and we have we go through all the challenges of the academic component, but then we throw this on top of it and we tinsel ourselves. We become stronger and goal-oriented and team-oriented and driven to succeed as we go through there. Even when succeed doesn't always mean getting the win, getting the W today, we know we define success in ways that help us to hopefully give back, contribute, and also persevere as we go through. Our final inductee tonight is a person. I used to always refer to myself as the old stag because most of the times when I'm around, I am the elder. Tonight, I get to share the room with a lot of good colleagues, people who can also wear that title. This person I get to meet, our next inductee, I got to meet recently through the celebration of one of our our first Stag football championship. And through that whole process, I got to meet a lot of people who I realized we see the world similarly, and we all had this great experience just at a little bit different time. They were in a CMC that was a little bit younger still and growing up, but they also were affected by the same people that I was affected by growing up as we go through here. You're going to meet a gentleman Harry Wright here, who was one of the key members of that 1970 team and a person who I've gotten to know over the last few years to a great pleasure. And again, when I spoke with Bob about coming in, think about who would you want to present you? And Harry pops up right away. I can see it. I can see that from the time I got to meet him before. Harry is a great instigator, I would say, as well as a great teammate and friend as we go through here. So would you please enjoy Harry's presentation to Mr. Bob Hayes here.
Well, my name's Harry Wright. I'm an alumni of Claremont-McKenna College, which was Claremont Men's College at the time. I like to say my class year was 1971, but it wasn't until 72 actually that I got out. Well, there's a lot of big memories of Bob as far as what he did on the field, and those were favorite and made me happy because he led us to a lot of big wins. But some of the little things, like the first time I met Bob and asked him where he was from, and he said Godin, and I thought he was talking about some city in India, but I knew that couldn't be right. And I asked him again, and I said Godin, and he said, yeah, Godin, Colorado, Kerr's beer. So Bob had kind of a Western way about him. He was just his own person and very unique from a lot of the other California boys that were on the team. Well, there's so many things that stand out about Bob Hayes. If you just want the nuts and bolts of it, he was a 3-time All-SCIAC performer, and he could easily have been 4 years. There really wasn't any drop-off in his play. He was an outstanding player. He was a Dickinson Award winner as an outstanding male athlete, but it was sort of Bob's performance on the field. He did his talking, as we like to say in football, with his cleats and with his shoulder pads. He was a leader by action. On the biggest stage, he would step up and have the most impressive performance. He was the kind of guy that could do anything on a football field. That's a little bit of a cliche, but with Bob, it's true. He was a great pass receiver. He threw several touchdown passes in big games with a halfback pass. He was our punter and was among the league leaders in punting for 4 years. A ferocious tackler. He was just tremendous in all facets of the game, and a great leader. Well, not only do I think Bob Hayes is an appropriate Hall of Famer, but he was a generational level player. You don't see throwbacks like Bob that could do anything on a football field. He was what they called a triple threat, and he could do them all really, really effectively. As I don't know a whole lot about Bob's basketball and baseball career, the fact that he even played 3 intercollegiate varsity sports and carried a full load of classes at Claremont is amazing in itself. There's just, he had great athletic acumen. So in 1968, Coach Zenda inherited what were probably the 2 best defensive backs in the conference, which were Bob and Steve Endemano. Also in '68, Bob's younger brother, Greg Hayes, or now Dr. Gregory Hayes, arrived and joined them in the defensive secondary. The wins went up commensurately each season after that, and in the fall of 1970, our senior year, Bob was elected by the team as captain. The 1970 team established several records, and several of them have been unmatched in the last 45 to 47 years. Among them are the fewest points ever relinquished in a season, which was 70, so that was like 7.5 points a game. Fewest yardage per game, least yardage for a season, 5 defensive shutouts. That one is particularly interesting because that means in over half of the Stags games, the defense didn't allow their opponents to either score a field goal or a touchdown. And that particular record has been unmatched from 1960 to the present for all 4-year colleges in Southern California. Bob established an individual record in 1970 of intercepting 3 passes in 1 game. Bob, I feel very fortunate to be one of the 5 guys that survived those 4 years, with 24 of us starting out in 1967, to be able to play those 4 years with you and see how much you contributed to Stags football, how you stepped up so amazingly in big games, how you were always there. If you were injured, it was certain that nobody ever knew that. You were a generational level player, as I've said. All of the 70 Stags fully endorsed this nomination. And we're proud to be a little piece of your story that's going into the Stags Hall of Fame. Thanks a lot. I'd just like to piggyback on what that young handsome guy said. Whereas Bob did everything on a football field, I'm going to break a little bit from practice and I'm going to give him some help and have his roommate at Claremont, his best friend and a great waterman, water polo and swimmer, Al Cornwell, come up for some comments that he's going to share for Bob.
That's the special attention man from Water Walla Walla.
Okay. So I am both honored and humbled by this award. This is so much more than just me. There were a lot of different people and circumstances in my life that made this all possible. A little background on my journey here tonight. I grew up in Golden, it's not Golden, Colorado in the 1950s and 60s. What a time to be alive. I was the ultimate baby boomer. I loved sports as a little kid and was fortunate to have a younger brother, Greg, to play with. I remember summers as a kid rushing through dinner and begging Mom and Dad to let us go outside to play baseball or kick the football around. Greg and I played Little League football, baseball, and basketball together during the 1960s. When I was almost 12 years old, my dad, Clem, passed away from blood cancer, Hodgkin's disease. I now realize what a strong and dedicated woman my mother, Virginia, was. She kept me, my two sisters, and brother going during that difficult time. Virginia would hit my brother and me ground balls in the backyard and made sure that we performed well in school and never missed a practice. Greg and I played football, basketball, and baseball together at Golden High School, and we're fortunate to have inherited my mom's athletic genes and my dad's intellectual genes. He graduated #1 in Colorado School of Mines. I was recruited to Claremont Men's College by a University of Colorado grad, Walt Klinker. He was the toughest, craziest coach I ever played for. I had never heard of Claremont, but had a cousin in Southern California who said it was a, quotes, good school. So hey, beaches, girls, the ocean, 2 hours from Vegas, I was all in. So in the fall of 1967, my mom and I drove the family station wagon that ran on leaded gasoline to California. We drove down Cajon Pass, and I thought, into the smog, what am I getting into? Mount Baldy and the San Gabriel Mountains were invisible most days because of the smog. We had to practice two-a-days at 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. to minimize the effects of the smog. I remember every player coughing and wheezing during the drills except one, Steve Endemano. He was breathing normally, so I realized he was a little different than the rest of us. That first season, with 22 freshman players on the team, we lost the first 8 games. One reason was Robin Jarvie, our starting quarterback, got injured the very first game against the University of San Francisco. The second reason is we were so young and inexperienced. I was a punter, so I got lots of practice. I had the best punt of my life against Cal Lutheran on a 96-degree day in Thousand Oaks. Of course, it got run back all the way for a touchdown. We got beat 48-0, and Coach Klinker named me Animal of the Week. I made 19 unassisted tackles. Wow, for a free safety, that's not really too good. We were ahead of our time because we did have concussion protocol. It consisted of Coach Clinker holding up 2 fingers and asking you, how many fingers? If you said 2, you got to go right back in the game. If you were wrong, he waited 30 seconds and asked you the same question again. And he kept repeating the procedure until you got it right, and then you were back in the game. My favorite number is 2. It was a long season, hot, smoggy, Santa Ana winds, forest fires, kind of like today. We were 0-8 getting ready to play Whittier College, who was 8-0, and then the miracle happened. We got Robin Jarvie back as quarterback, the coaches changed the offense, and we blew out the Poets 29-28. Everything fell into place. Whittier was overconfident. I tried to throw a halfback pass out of bounds as the big, ugly defensive end from Whittier was in my face. I looked up from the ground and saw Steve Indamano running down the sideline for a touchdown. Coach Clinker was screaming, spitting, pounding me on the helmet, telling me it was a perfect pass, and I was just trying to throw it out of bounds. I also had a run to the goal line and got hit and fumbled, but our end, Steve Knutson, recovered the end zone for a Claremont touchdown. At the end of the game, with us owning a commanding 29-28 lead, Steve Indamano intercepted a Whittier pass at the 1-yard line to steal the victory. What a scene. After the game, you would have thought we run the Rose Bowl. The next year, a new coaching staff was hired, and it was headed by the legendary John Zenda. He was the best coach I ever played for. My brother Greg was having a great year at Golden High School, all state in football and baseball. In a baseball game against the best pitching prospect in Colorado, he hit 2 home runs and a triple in a game where Golden had a total of 3 hits, his. A pro scout at the game wanted to sign him into a contract, but my mom put Greg in the car and said Greg would be going to college. He had a full-ride baseball scholarship to Colorado State University, but the coach told him he would have to take time. He wouldn't have time to take the pre-veterinary courses that he wanted to. I thought he was going to CSU and didn't know Coach Zenda had called him and told him Claremont had pre-vet classes. Zenda had just been hired, and he didn't know if Claremont had pre-vet or not, but he was going to make it work. So the next thing I know, my brother was joining me at Claremont, and I was so excited. The beauty of a school like Claremont was Coach Zenda was able to make arrangements with a veterinarian in Upland to give an internship with college credit to Greg. And then my brother got into CSU vet school after just 3 years, which is pretty much unheard of. A letter of recommendation from Dean McLeod at Claremont certainly helped. What a time to be in college. Love-ins, peace demonstrations, war demonstrations, Vietnam, Nixon, 100 years of college football, Woodstock, Black Power, landing on the moon. We had it all. In my senior year, Claremont won its first football conference championship due to the leadership of Coach Zenda. There were 5 seniors left from the 22 freshmen that started: John Doherty, Sam Bornacorso, Harry Wright, Steve Indamano, and me. I was fortunate to be named captain of the team that was one of the best defensive teams in the country that year. Steve Indamano was the best football player I ever saw. He played both ways. As a cornerback that year, I was successful because of my teammates. My job was easy with Sam Reese, Will Wilkins, Jimmy Nails, and Chris Stecker on the defensive line. I knew the opposing quarterback had at most 3 to 3.5 seconds to throw. With Mike Rosen, Harry Wright, and Scott Thompson as linebackers, all the inside runs and passes were taken care of. With Steve Indamano opposite me, I knew the passes were likely to come my way, and I had my brother Greg and Jaime Correa as support at safeties. So it was easy to cover guys and jump routes for interceptions. This was a Hall of Fame team. Some of the guys are here tonight. Please stand up if you were on that team. I will never forget coming out at halftime of the conference championship game at Whittier and seeing the Claremont fans forming a gauntlet tunnel back to the field from our locker room. Billy Mills, one of my baseball teammates, was holding a pair of deer antlers on his head and was carried on the shoulders of another baseball player as they led us down the gauntlet. Of course, they tripped and fell and got trampled by the football team. I went on to teach mathematics and coach at Golden High School for 38 years. I drew on my many experiences from Claremont to be successful. It was so satisfying to do something meaningful as teaching and coaching. In 1999, I was diagnosed with throat cancer and went through surgery and radiation. I got a call from Hall of Famer David Wells, who I'd played basketball with at Claremont. He had the same disease. Dave passed away 2 years later. I've been more fortunate. In July 2000, my wife Randa passed away from a brain tumor. In 2006, I had a jaw replacement surgery due to damage from radiation. I retired from teaching in 2010, although I coached until 2016. I met my current wife, Luana, in 2010. She has been an inspiration and such a loving and supportive person in my life. I am most proud of my Hall of Fame family, my kids, Amber, Becky, Ryan, Gavin, Dart, Maya, and Gus. They're the best. Great memories and a loving family and best friends from Claremont, Al and Maggie Cornwell keep me strong. Thanks again, and I challenge everybody here to try and do something nice and positive for your spouse or family or friends or neighbors or community, and the world will be a little better place. Go Stags.
Okay, I'm not worthy to follow all that wonderful expression there. I hope you have enjoyed this evening the way I have. Every time I've been at one of these Hall of Fame events, many of the people we know them in certain ways and the rest of that, but you learn more and you understand a little bit with greater depth what their lives have been, and that we've all come from similar roots. We've all come from similar experiences as we've grown up here in Claremont and experienced many of the challenges, the pluses and minuses, and the trials, the opportunities, and in many cases the successes that we've had together. But it's really special. I want to thank all of our presenters for the great way you have represented our inductees this evening, and for trying out this a newer format here, for being part of this. And I want to really especially congratulate our inductees. Thank you for what you have done to enliven, to elevate, and to help create this program that we all benefit from. Let's, one more time, really nice round of appreciation for our inductees tonight. Well, I hope you all have enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed the celebration. I'm glad we could be here tonight to gather and to remember and reminisce and the rest of that. We are at the end of our formal program. I hope you will enjoy the conversations, and I presume that there are some post-party activities that are out there as we're going. Again, I want to thank you all for being part of this show. I want to thank you for being with us this evening, and I will look forward to seeing people back here again as we celebrate the class of 2019 next year. Thank you all. Great to have you with us.